Head over to miniaturemarket.com and they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Abstract Academy. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. You're about to see my Allegro 1-minute overview and final thoughts. This is designed to see if this game warrants more of your time. If it does, just keep watching because then you'll see my full intro overview and final thoughts. However, if you don't want to be spoiled anything and you want to skip right to the full review, use the time index below in YouTube. Abstract Academy is a competitive tableau building game for 2 or 4 players, so you're going to be playing these beautiful cards and trying to get them situated in ways for your secret goals and the known goals. You'll alternate playing cards into a shared grid, but the player on this side only scores from these 2 rows, and this player only scores from these 2 rows. In each round you have different goals like the largest red area, or the fewest yellow areas, or the most blue areas. You'll also have some secret goals like trying to make certain types of shapes to get points. But each round the canvas clears, you build a new one with different types of goals like professors, like the most color areas with 4 more quadrants, or the most color areas, and these cards are worth more. In the last round you actually have 2 color specific and 1 professor goals, so each round feels a little bit different. But the interesting part is starting to build the grid, because as soon as you have 4 cards and a certain axis between the players, it locks those grids in and now you know which rows are scoring for you, so it's a jockeying of position at the beginning and then being very tactical towards the end. And there's also a 4-player game that has a 5x5 grid, but you're actually sharing some of the cards in your scoring zone with players to your left and your right, making it somewhat semi-cooperative, but also you're only out for yourself. The art on each of the cards is different. Even though you're only looking at 3 colors, they made it look interesting. You're building the play area as you go, and you're trying to figure out when to lock in the areas of the scoring zones. Lots of interesting tactics there. You're playing sometimes to the other player's scoring zone to mess their scoring up if you don't have a place to play that card. There's different types of scoring cards between the color cards and the professor cards, and it's a different versions of those each of the rounds. You've got those secret goals you're trying to figure out, and the 4-player game has a level of semi-co-op that's pretty interesting, working together with the people next to you, but you're still out for yourself. On the negative, I hate the box. It's too small. It's one of those ones you have to fit perfectly, and if not, you gotta dump all the cards out to make them all fit. The inspiration goals, they show squares, but in actuality, they're actually rectangles, and it makes it a little hard to see sometimes. But overall, from the team that did Point Salad and 10, 2 of my favorite little family games, this is a solid one. It doesn't quite stand out like those, but if you like these sort of abstract player games, I could definitely recommend this Abstract Academy. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're artists. We're painting these nice little oil paintings of blue and yellow and red and making it look like abstract art, but we're all competitively trying to win, even though we're all making one big piece of work. Let's take a look at Abstract Academy. I'll show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. In Abstract Academy, players are going to be playing cards onto a tableau and building one big collage of different paint colors, but players are going to be trying to do it in a way that they get the most points depending on the goals for that round. I'm going to show you the 2-player game first. Each player is going to have a hand of cards, 3 of these types of cards in their hand. On your turn, you're going to place a card. The first one can go in this orientation or this orientation. Once that first card is placed, all the other cards must be in that orientation. Then they just simply draw a card. So you always have 3 cards, you play 1, you draw 1. That's it. And then the other player is going to go. Now the other player can't do something like this. It has to somehow touch and it has to line up a little bit. And you can't do this because it has to be this orientation for the rest of the round. So they can do something like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. They draw a card. That's back to the first player's turn. Maybe they do something like this. Then the next player goes. Maybe the next player plays to the opposite side of where they're sitting from over there and plays one about right here. And then let's say the next player, the other player, comes and they put one like this. In a 2-player game, you're only creating a 4x4 grid. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. As soon as that axis is locked between the 2 players, the rules change a bit. Now, the 2 rows closest to this player is going to be known as their scoring zone. These are the only cards in these 2 rows that are going to score for this player. This player is only going to score in this row. However, the closest row to each player, like this one to this one, and this one to this one, now that this has been locked, only this player can play in this row closest to them, and only this player can play in this row close to them. But this player could play in this row, and this player can play in this row. You just can't play to the closest one, but you're only scoring the 2 rows closest to you. So let me fill it up and show you what happens. Now, of course, as soon as you get to 4 cards in any direction this way, that axis is locked as well. So now we have the 4x4 grid. Now, at the beginning of each round, there's 3 rounds in the game. Each player's going to get one of these inspiration cards. They're going to look at the back secretly, and this is going to be a goal for them. They get this at the beginning of the game, and they're the round, and they're trying to figure this out. This shows these 2 shapes. They can be rotated in any way of the same color. So it has 3 and then goes over 1. 1, 2, 3. Goes over 1, you can rotate it. So we would be able to score 2 points for this, because remember, we're only scoring any quadrants in these 2 rows here. So both players would be able to score this. You don't have to, it's optional. So, but you can only score 1 of these. And you only get 1 each round. But if you don't score this, you'll hold this for next round. At the beginning of the next round, you'll get another one. And then you might be able to score 1 of these. But again, at most you can only score 1 of them. Then we're going to look at the scoring for the round, and the scorings change each round. Now, in the first round, you're going to get 1 assignment of each color. And this is open information everyone knows at the beginning of the round. You're kind of like, as you're placing these cards, that's why and how you're placing them, is because you're trying to get into, and again, if this is us, our scoring rows. We want tempo and rhythm, the fewest yellow areas. An area, this is 1 yellow area. 1, 2, 3 says it's 1 contiguous area. That's a yellow area here. So for example, the fewest yellow areas, this is 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoever had the fewest areas would get this and keep it. It's going to be 3 points. The largest red area, probably it's going to be maybe, this one's just 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if it's tied, one player starts with the teacher's pet card. They will win the tiebreaker, but then they pass this to the other player. That player not only goes first, but they also will keep it until they win a tiebreaker and pass it back and forth. Blue, most blue areas. So again, the most blue areas is you want the most single blue areas. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you count these up again, and whoever has the most gets that. That'd be in the first round. You keep the cards that you score, you discard all these, and then you start a second round with a blank canvas. Now in the second round of scoring, the open scoring is going to be 2 professor cards. And these are different types of things as well. Like they typically have to do with different things like most color areas with 4 or more quadrants. This is essentially 2 quadrants. So you're looking for 4 more areas the most color areas with 4 more quadrants. So you want a bunch of big clumped in areas. This one's the longest color path, where you're going to be counting how far a path goes in different directions and such. So different ways to score, but these ones are worth 5. After that second round, you wipe the canvas and you do a third round. Now the third round is going to be 1 professor card and any 2 randomized blue color assignment cards. Now this is interesting. This one says fewest red areas. Okay, great, 3 points. This one is largest color area, largest blue area. Sometimes they'll combo together like this. So people are really going to be trying to get the largest blue area, because they're going to score this and they're going to score this probably if the largest blue is bigger than the largest of any of the other colors. After 3 rounds, that's pretty much it. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. Remembering that you get a new one of these every round as well, but you can only score 1 of them. So if you don't score them, you have some more options for next round. And a lot of this is trying to figure out locking in the grid and setting yourself up at the beginning of the game. Once it's locked in, then it's completely tactical. Now when playing the 4-player game, it's a 5x5 grid that locks everything together. Now this player over here this is their scoring row, but this player over here has these 2 scoring rows. So they actually share 2 of the cards. So you're sharing 2 of the cards with this neighbor and 2 of the cards with the other neighbor. So there's a little bit of sort of semi-co-op where you're trying to work together to work towards different goals, but you also want to be the only one to do it. So it's an interesting interaction with the players. Now this game, I was interested in it because it was done by the design team that has done Point Salad that I loved, 10, which was one of my family games of the year last year. They just make great games, and so I was really interested in this. So with that said as sort of biases coming in, let's take a look. Now I like that the art on each card is different, even though you have little quadrants and they're just 1 of 3 colors. If you look at the details of the brush strokes, all the cards look different. I think that was a really nice touch. They could have easily just stamped colors on there and just made it. It wouldn't have been as interesting looking. It actually looks nice on the table because of that, and I like that they paid attention to making it look nice, because it is a game about art. I love that you're building the play area as you go, and you're trying, as you're doing this, you're building an area like, okay, I'm gonna go this way, I'm gonna go this way. Ooh, they went there. Maybe they want these 2 rows to be there. Maybe that's okay because of the secret goal I have. Maybe it's not. Maybe I want to screw them up and think, ah ha ha, you thought these two were going to be you two, and now I've locked it in. So you're trying to lock in your own scoring zone, and it's a little bit of a game of chicken trying to figure out what you want to lock in, what's out there, how long do you want it to go before you lock it in, how much information do you want them to have, how much do you want you to have you already started working on your secret goal or maybe some of the other ones. It's a little bit of jockeying for position there, and I like that. It's a very interesting aspect of the game. I like that even though you can't play to the other player's home row, the one closest to them, you could still play to their scoring zone, which is the second to last row towards them. And that's really cool because it's like, if I don't have something great that's going to help me on my scoring zone, I'll waste a card that I don't want and put it on their side, hopefully even messing up their types of the open scoring that they're going to be trying to score for. Very interesting there. The different scoring card types is cool. You've got the colors, and then you have the professors, and they work differently. And each round, it's a different combination of those types of scoring cards. So each round feels different. I like that you have the secret goals. I like that even if you don't make one, you'll draw a new one the next round, but you're only gonna be able to do one. So you have more options, but you can still only do one of those. I like that the 4-player mode basically is a little bit of a semi-cooperative where you're kind of working with the player to your left and the player to your right, but you're still really trying to score points for yourself. Gave me visions of like between two cities or between two castles of Mac and Ludwig. I've always liked that, working with the players to the left or the right. But in this case, you are, but you're really only out for yourself too at the end. So on the negative side of things, so overall I like the game. On the negative side of things, the box. I hate the box. Not that it's too small, maybe not that it's too small, but it's one of those little, I should have showed it in the overview. It's one of those like mass market boxes. It's a tuck box that you have to open up, and you have to slide the cards in there and perfectly get them so that both the decks of cards that are going in there are the exact same height. And which kind of stinks because it's not like one set of cards is one half and one set of cards the other. They're kind of mixed together a little bit. If you don't get them perfect, then you have to like dump it out and get it back, and you're not quite sure if they'll fit. It's a pain in the butt. They should have just put a box with a lid, so it's easy to kind of put those back together. I hate the box. I get that it's small, they're trying to keep the cost down, but you should have made it one with a lid instead of a tuck. It would have at least made it easier to try to figure out how to get the cards in there to make them fit, as opposed to, oh, I stink. I can't get that card, it's stuck against the edge, and I gotta dump the whole box out. Hate the box. The inspiration goals, they show squares. I showed you like, it was like a Tetris type of thing, the secret goals. They're little squares, because that's what they're supposed to be. But in all reality, the quadrants of the cards, because they're not square cards, and I actually like that aspect because you can do it one way or another. It doesn't change the game a lot, but it does change the way that you see things. But the problem is the secret goal cards have squares, but in all reality, on the cards, they're rectangles. So sometimes trying to see those patterns is a little hard and a little goofy, and sometimes you could screw it up because you're like, oh, that's not that. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, it looks different out there because it's a bunch of rectangles put together instead of a bunch of squares, and it actually does look a little different. So I wish they would have I wish they kept the cards the same but changed the little secret goals to make it actually look more like the rectangled quadrants. So again, a little nitpick here. Overall, if you like sort of 2-player abstract strategy games that has a unique twist, but also be able to play at 4-player semi-cooperative. If you look for something like that, this is a good one. I don't think this one stood out quite as much as, say, a Point Salad or a 10, but I mean, those games are amazing. It's hard to follow up on those things. But this is a solid game. If you like this style of game, I think it's going to be one you enjoy, and I can recommend it, and that's Abstract Academy. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.